This section will talk more about the people in information system. This is to give emphasis that people are vital in the development of information system. As the imagination of information system started from the great minds of IT, then developers followed, which was also supported by the people, and even at the very end of the process, people will be the one who will benefit at the end. In this part, we will talk about the creators of information systems. These people do the role of designing, developing, and building information systems. They should have the technical skills and background in programming, analysis, information security, or database design. These may be acquired with a minimum of bachelor's degree in computer science, but the degree is not necessarily required. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics projections for computing career employment in 2020, software engineering has the highest employability at 28%, followed by computer support at 17%, system analysis at 16%, network and system admin at 11%, and programmers at 10%.
Systems analyst works with a team or department seeking to identify business requirements and analyze the specific details of an existing system or a system that needs to be built. A systems analyst needs to have a good understanding of the business, the purpose of the business processes involved, and the ability to document them well. The flow is to clearly identify the problem, gain approval for the project, identify the stakeholders, and then develop a plan to monitor the project. The design document created by the systems analyst provides the detail needed to create the system and is handed off to a developer to actually write the software and to the database administrator to build the database and tables that will be in the database as well. Programmers generally attempt to fulfill the design specifications given to them by a systems analyst or designer. A programmer needs to be able to understand complex processes and also the intricacies of one or more programming languages. A computer engineer designs the computing devices that are used every day. A hardware engineer designs hardware and test components such as microprocessors, memory devices, routers, and networks. They also write codes to create a program that will be implemented directly on a computer chip. A software engineer focuses on a specific area of software such as operating systems, networks, applications, or databases. They uses 3 primary skill areas: computer science, engineering, and mathematics. A systems engineer takes the components designed by other engineers and makes it all work together. They also focuses on the integration of hardware and software. A network engineer understands the networking requirements of an organization and then designs a communication system to meet those needs. He designs both local area networks as well as wide area networks. The information systems operations and administration. The computer operator oversees the mainframe computers in data centers and organizations. It also keeps the operating systems up to date, ensuring available memory and disk storage, providing for redundancy, and overseeing the physical environment of the computer. The database administrator designs and manages the databases for an organization, consults with systems analysts and programmers on projects that require access to or the creation of databases. The help desk or support analyst is the first line of support for computer users in the company, works with senior level support analysts, or has a computer knowledge base at their disposal to help them investigate the problem at hand, and should have a good communication skills and a sincere interest in helping users. The trainer conducts classes to teach people specific computer skills. They should be able to communicate technical concepts clearly and demonstrate patience with learners. Managing information systems. The CIO is the head of the information systems function. The person aligns the plans and operations of the information systems with the strategic goal of the organization. the face of the IT department within the organization. The functional manager. Many of the different functions are grouped together and led by a manager. He or she reports to the CIO and manages the employees specific to their function. The ERP management responsibilities ensures that the ERP system is completely up to date, works to implement needed changes, consults with various user departments on needed reports or data extracts. The project manager is responsible for keeping projects on time and on budget, works with the stakeholders of the project to keep the team organized and communicates the status of the project to management, coordinates schedules and resources in order to maximize the project outcomes, and lastly must be a good communicator and an extremely organized person. The Information Security Officer is in charge of setting information security policies for an organization and then overseeing the implementation of those policies. The officer must ensure that the organization's information remains secure from both internal and external threats. The emerging roles are the social media experts, data analysts, business intelligence specialists, and cloud computing and virtual machine specialists.
The discussed job descriptions do not represent all possible jobs within an information systems organization. The bigger an organization, the more they will have specialized roles, while smaller organizations may combine some of these roles. So in many cases, those proficient in technical skills are not gifted with managerial skills. That's why career advancement when it comes to technical jobs can be very hard. However, there are companies or organizations that create a technical track that exists in parallel to the management track so that they can retain employees who contribute to the organization with their technical skills while at the same time contribute to their career development and advancement.
To ensure the companies are hiring people who have the necessary skills to fulfill a position, many organizations are requiring technical certificates in pre-employment process. Take for example the Cisco certification badge. This signifies the level of competency in a specific technology as awarded upon completion. To acquire a certificate offered by many organizations, you will have to attend one or more training classes and then take one or more certification exams. Passing the exam qualifies for a certificate, although most similar certificates are not free. The more technical the course is, the costlier it is. Few examples of these certificates of high demand is Microsoft Software Certificates, Cisco Networking, and SAN Security. These certificates are mostly required by networking companies and security companies. The more advanced certificates you have, the likelier for you to be promoted.
In the early years of computing, the information systems function was placed in the finance or accounting department of the organization. So as computing became more important, a separate information system function was formed, but it was generally placed under the chief financial officer and considered to be an administrative function of the company. So in the 1980s and 90s, the information systems function was now combined with the telecommunications function and designated as the information technology department. So nowadays, the head of IT or the CIO reports directly to the CEO. So where in the organization should IS be? So before the personal computer came to be, the information systems function was centralized within organizations so that they could maximize their control over computing resources. But when the PC began to gain popularity, some departments created an internal IS group complete with their own systems analysts, programmers, and even database administrators. Though the advantage of this is that they could get a higher turnaround and higher levels of service than a centralized IT department, the disadvantage was that there were a lot of inefficiencies, and this decentralization also led to company data being stored in several places all over the company. So some organizations may go to outsourcing if ever they need a specific skill for just a limited period of time and they don't want to train existing employees or hire new staff. So outsourcing can be used in situations like designing and creating a new website or upgrading an ERP system. So the integration of information technology has influenced the structure of organizations, and this increased ability to communicate and share information within organizations has led to a flattening of the organizational structure. So this new network-based organizational structure allows a group of employees to work somewhat independently to accomplish a project. So these groups are somewhat informal and allow for all members of the group to maximize their effectiveness. So who are the different types of information systems users? So the first group are the innovators. These are the first individuals to adopt a new technology and who are willing to take risks, are the youngest in age, have the highest social class, have great financial liquidity, are very social, and have the closest contact with scientific sources and interaction with other innovators. The next are the early adopters. These are those who adopt innovation soon after a technology has been introduced and proven. They have the highest degree of opinion leadership among the other adopter categories, which means that these adopters can influence the opinions of the largest majority. Then comes the early majority. These individuals adopt an innovation after a varying degree of time. This time of adoption is significantly longer than the innovators and early adopters. This group tends to be slower in the adoption process, has above average social status, has contact with early adopters, and seldom holds positions of opinion leadership in a system. So the second to the last group are the late majority. They will adopt an innovation after the average member of society. They approach innovation with a high degree of skepticism, have below average social status, have very little financial liquidity, are in contact with others in the late majority and the early majority, and show very little opinion leadership. So the last group are the laggards. They are the last to adopt an innovation and they show no opinion leadership. These individuals typically have an aversion to change agents and tend to be advanced in age. They also tend to be focused on traditions, are likely to have the lowest social status and the lowest financial liquidity, be the oldest of all other adopters, and be in contact with only family and close friends.